A lot of the times, people don't understand that they are a victim of narcissistic abuse. I certainly did not understand and did not comprehend or was unwilling to acknowledge this fact when I myself suffered from narcissistic abuse. I created in my notebook a list of 18 signs that you're suffering from narcissistic abuse. As a disclaimer, I'm not a psychologist, I'm not a therapist, I have not studied psychology apart from AP Psych in high school. But I have done a lot of research and I have gone to therapy myself, and I have a pretty good grasp of the general traits that most narcissists employ on their victims. And I do want to start off by saying, if you or anyone you know has suffered at the hands of a person that inflicts these kinds of behaviors on you, even once or more often it's a pattern or multiple times, my heart goes out to you. I'm so sorry for what you're undergoing. Healing from this kind of pain is extraordinarily difficult, and so I'm with you in that and I support you. So, sign number 1 of narcissistic abuse is gaslighting. Gaslighting is a specific manipulation tactic where you tell somebody that what they are experiencing is not correct, is not real, it's not reality, or it didn't happen. Anytime that you know something happened, let's say you closed the garage door and you know that you closed the garage door and someone says, "No, you left it open. I saw it was open." But you have a vision, a memory of the garage hitting the ground, pressing the button, and driving away. And so what gaslighting does is it makes you start to question your reality. And you can imagine how this is beneficial when narcissists use it, because it helps the victim feel like they're going crazy. If you know what you said, but someone is telling you you didn't say something or you didn't do something, you start to question yourself and you start to think, okay, they're so insistent that I didn't do this or I did do this, I must be wrong. But you know you're not wrong. So gaslighting is a devastating tactic that makes you feel like you have no grip on reality or you don't remember things. When I was suffering from gaslighting behavior, I started questioning if I had memory issues, and fortunately it happened in front of other people that could vouch for me and could call it out and also experience what I experienced, and it's awful. So number 1 is gaslighting. The second behavior that a narcissist will often deploy is called dry begging. So this is an odd term, I don't really like it, but basically when a narcissist dry begs, they're purposefully and intentionally trying to evoke sympathy from the person around them. And often phrases that are dry begging are, "I'm so unlucky," or "if only I had XYZ, then I would be able to complete my goal or pay my rent or do something." So it's very strategically evoking sympathy in a way where the person receiving this information or hearing this dry begging wants to step in. They want to help. So they're playing the victim here and they're setting it up so they say something that is alarming. "Oh, I'm always suffering from this. It's just the world hates me. I have the worst luck." And if you're a positive, happy, normal person, you want to be like, no, you're not. Let me step in. Let me help you. It's much subtler, and it is very effective, though, because that's how they start roping you in and getting you to do what they want. So the third one is narcissists are often very private with their own internal emotional landscape, and they cannot, for the life of them, answer a simple question. So often when you're dealing with a narcissist, you're going to ask them a simple question like, "Why didn't you do this?" And instead of saying, "I didn't do this because," they're going to deflect, they're going to call you out on something, they're going to flip the blame, they're going to do everything they can, say anything they can, except directly answer what you're asking. And this is because the more vague they are, the easier it is to distract from what you're accusing them of. So, or they can just flip it on you. So you suddenly become the bad guy, and all of a sudden you're apologizing to them for just wanting your feelings and reality acknowledged. Gets my blood boiling. Another, number 4, is called breadcrumbing. A lot of the times, once the narcissism starts to show and their true colors start to show, you'll get into this pattern of they're improving something and then they stop improving and they start doing good behaviors sporadically, small good behaviors. So it's called breadcrumbing. They'll drop, like, maybe you tell them you really want flowers and you're really sad that they didn't get you flowers, and maybe you got into an explosive argument about it, and then the next day there's flowers. But then 5, 6, 7, 8 months go by and there's no flowers. And then you bring it up again, and maybe they do get them, maybe they don't. It's just very small improvements that are inconsistent, that keep you coming back, keep you thinking, okay, there are improvements, they're not drastic, but they're still there, so maybe I should give them more credit, blah, 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 blah. Another thing they love, or not they love, but is common for narcissists, is the dead stare. So this is when you're in an argument with them and they're looking through you. It's like they don't see you. They're like, their eyes are piercing through you, and they are completely non-emotive. They have no reaction. There's no life behind them. There's no spark behind their eyes. And this makes you feel like you don't even exist. It's hard to describe if you haven't experienced it, but if you have experienced it, most likely this description will ring true for you. Number 6 is neglect. A narcissist will often leave you at your lowest point to fend for yourself. Not in the same way, like if you see them at their lowest because they're dry begging, gaslighting, playing the victim, you as a normal person probably want to rush to their aid, and you expect them to rush to your aid when you're on the floor crying. But no, they'll neglect you. At your worst moments, at your absolute most vulnerable moments, when you need someone the most, when you need them the most, they won't be there. 7 is unspecific apologies. Narcissists do not like to take blame. They don't like to take ownership of making people hurt or making people unwell. So if they do end up apologizing, which is probably rare and far and few between, their apology might sound something like this. Well, I'm sorry, I can't be better for you. Or, I'm sorry, I'm not being the person you need me to be. It's not very vague and it lacks accountability. It's very vague and it lacks accountability. A true apology would be like, I acknowledge that I hurt you in this way, and that's part 1. Part 2 is a commitment. I will not do this again. Apologies are 2-step, and they won't even do either step. They won't acknowledge what they did. If they do, it'll be a feeble attempt, and they absolutely will not promise to do it again. They'll probably do it again. Number 8 is cycles. Narcissists often have patterns of behavior. They'll take you to the absolute lowest of lows. They'll leave you there. Maybe you'll get the courage to try to leave them, and then they'll bring you right back. They'll breadcrumb you up to a point where you're comfortable with staying. You feel like they're changing, just for the cycle to repeat again and again and again. It's absolutely exhausting, it's draining, and it's very painful. And it makes you question leaving them, or why you leave them, or if they're improving enough. So they'll lead you on a lot of cycles of getting better and relapsing. Number 9 is isolating you. This can be a lot subtler than it sounds. A lot of times when you read about isolation, you might question whether you've gone through it or not, because it sounds very extreme. It sounds like someone telling you, you can't see this person. I don't allow you to see this person. And oftentimes isolation happens really slowly over time, where it might start with them critiquing your friends and family, expressing contempt for them, expressing, if you spend too much time away from the narcissist, they're going to start to get really antsy, maybe make you pay for it by withholding care and attention. And slowly, you'll find that your circle of people that you once really relied on, trusted, you're not as close to them. They're not as accessible to you. There's been distance grown in between you, and hopefully it stops there, but it can go even further, where the narcissist turns you against those loved ones, which is extremely dangerous because the narcissist wants to isolate you. The further you are away from people that actually truly care and love about you, the easier it is for them to manipulate you and to hurt you and to keep you in these cycles. Number 10 is road rage. You guys, I did not know that this was a sign of narcissism. I'm getting all worked up about this. I read a lot of online forums, a lot of blogs, a lot of survivors of narcissistic abuse. Dr. Rumani was on Jay Shetty's podcast, has a whole hour-long episode on this. It's really informative and eye-opening and helped me understand narcissism truly. But a lot of the times, narcissists will have terrible control of their temper, and that shows up in road rage. And it's extremely devastating for the victim because you don't feel safe in their presence. And they are completely in control. And that's one thing that a narcissist will always seek is control. In arguments, in any dynamic, friendships, family, relationships, they want control. And when they're driving the car and they feel like someone's driving poorly around them, or they're spited, or whatever it is, they will show their temper and it will be bad. And if you ask them to stop, they'll get mad at you, they'll blame the other people, they'll deflect. But road rage is a common behavior among narcissistic people. Number 11, one of my favorites, is ruining special events. If you think you might be in a relationship or be affected by someone who has a narcissistic personality, think back to the last 5 years. And truly, honestly, think about this person's behavior on your birthday, on your holidays, Hanukkah, Christmas, Diwali. How did they act? How did they treat you? Did they somehow find a way to make it a disaster? They're really good at this. It's extraordinarily painful, and they like to take the joy away from people. They like to be the center of attention, and if someone else is taking that spotlight from them, they can grow very uneasy. Or if they're not attention-seeking narcissists, maybe they'll just feel like you're not important, you don't matter, you don't need to be celebrated. They'll find a way to ruin it. They will, and they'll do it multiple times. Okay, number 12, they don't react when you cry. See, normal people have a level of empathy. Some people aren't crazy empathetic, but even if you're not a crazy empathetic person, when you see someone crying or breaking down or exhibiting intense negative emotions, usually you want to step in and ease the person's pain. A narcissist does not have that. It's very strange to think about, but they just don't have that inclination at all. The person that I suffered from narcissistic abuse would often look at me, just stare at me blankly when I was crying, because they brought me to a point of tears so many times. And I would just look at them crying, sobbing, baffled that they wouldn't do anything. Oftentimes, this person would also ask me to stop crying very roughly, like, can you stop crying? Or would blame me for crying, telling me that I was trying to manipulate them into siding with me. Yeah, they just won't comfort you. They have little to no empathy at all. Number 13 is mocking you or making jokes at your expense. A lot of the times this is dismissed in society as, just having a dry, sarcastic sense of humor. That's fine. You can have a dry, sarcastic sense of humor. The line that it crosses is when it hurts you or when it's harmful. When I was with the person that had narcissistic tendencies or was a narcissist, they would make fun of things I liked. And if I brought it to their attention, if I said, that really hurt my feelings, or please don't mock me, please don't make fun of me, they just think it's just a joke. They love hiding behind that. It's just a joke. You can't take a joke. And then they make you feel bad for having a normal reaction to being attacked. Love that. Number 14 is they exhibit extreme hot and cold behaviors. So they can be really, really great, really on, performative, happy, amazing, loving. But if you spite them or if you do something in their book that is taking away their control, they're going to be extremely cold. Like, not just, I'm holding a little grudge, I'm not going to talk to you. When I say extremely cold, they won't acknowledge your existence. They will treat you like you're an inanimate object. Like I said, going back to the crying, they won't help you when you're crying. They won't react to your emotional pain. They won't do anything for you. So they're really on, and they're amazing when they're on, and they're the perfect parent, partner, friend. but when they're off, they're really off. Number 15 is very specific, but they will be extremely friendly to strangers, like people that they've never met before. They'll treat them really, really well. They'll be super super jovial, super funny, super charismatic. And especially if you're arguing with them, they want to show you that they're totally fine. A narcissist will not show that they're bothered by your pain or by whatever's going on. The narcissist that I was dealing with would always say, I'm happy no matter what. I'm just always happy. We were in a cycle of this person ignoring me, basically neglecting me. If we were out in public together, this person would be super on with strangers, joking with them, laughing, trying to be all funny and calling friends, just making so many jokes, super jovial. Meanwhile, you're miserable. Number 16. Have you ever approached someone saying how you were hurt, and somehow by the end of the conversation, you're apologizing to them? If this has happened to you, and you have a person that comes to mind, narcissist, in no world should you approach someone saying, hey, what you said really hurt me, or hey, the behavior you exhibited really made me suffer. And then somehow, through distraction, through blaming you, through bringing up old arguments, from holding grudges, for calculated moves against you, the conversation flips 180 and becomes all about you and the things you've done against them. And by the end, you feel so confused and so lost, and you're hearing them confess all the hurt that they feel because of you. You apologize to them. You completely lose sight of your intention. Narcissist. That's a classic narcissist. And that shouldn't happen. Any normal person would hear your pain, even if they don't agree with it. They acknowledge that's your experience, and they would take ownership of it. Anyone but a narcissist. Number 17, narcissists love to have the victim mindset. This shows up in a lot of ways, but they're usually a victim of everything. They're a victim of their life. They're a victim of you. They feel they're a victim of you. They're a victim of circumstance. They're just a victim. They feel like deep down, these people are really, really wounded. Something in their childhood really, truly messed them up. And they have never escaped that victim mindset. They've never made peace with that traumatic event, whatever it may be, or it could be later in life, in their adolescence, in their adult years. They never made peace with it, and they're stuck in that victim mindset. And because they love control, they're going to do everything to make themselves not feel like the victim, but play the victim when it comes in their favor. They're really smart in this way. They understand people well, and they understand how to utilize people's empathy against them. Number 18, narcissists are extremely private. They don't like sharing personal information. They don't want you to know how they feel. You never really know where they stand or what they think, and that's intentional. The less you know about them, the less data you have, and the less that you can understand them and understand their patterns. So they don't reveal much at all about themselves. Thank you so much for watching this video. I know how painful and devastating this kind of pain is. My heart goes out to you. If any of these resonated with you, I really hate to say it, but I'm pretty confident that you're dealing with a narcissist, and I would highly recommend trying to distance yourself from this person. It's really sad. A lot of the times they don't mean what they're doing. Maybe they do, unless maybe they're psychopathic and they do. I don't really understand the why. I try not to understand the why. I just try to acknowledge and be honest with myself that these behaviors are calculated, and they are repetitive, and they're extremely harmful and toxic. So the best thing you can do for yourself, the best thing that's helped me, is extricating myself from the relationship, friendship, whatever it may be, to protect your peace. Please protect your peace. And if you liked the video, feel free to give it a thumbs up, subscribe to the channel, and I'll see you in the next video. Lots of love to you all. Bye.